Chip. H Game Live, what up? Honda Game, what up? Chip's the omen. Started from the bottom, now we here. Man, F that nonsense, we ain't going nowhere. H Game Live, you don't know it, then Google it. You ain't making in the game till top books shooting. Respect the shooters to the nitrous, forced induced it, straight piped it. Like we do them chicks and they liked it. Motor like steroids, yeah, they built and juiced it. If you got the next lane, you better say goodnight, man. My Trip's the omen.
What's going on, guys? Steve again here from the Honda Game and Paz Brothers Motorsports. Last time you guys were checking in, we were talking about Bastard Child. It's a second part to it. For those of you that don't know, Bastard Child is our Mazda Speed protege with the Honda F2B motor in it. This time's a little bit different. This time we're bringing you, for anybody that's been following on Instagram, this is my J2F powered S2000. And for any of you that don't know what a J2F is, it's basically a J series. Any of the Honda's V6 motors that come in the Ridgelines, Odysseys, the TLs. This particular motor is out of a TL Type S, and it's been bolted up to the S2000 6-speed transmission. When you go to do this swap, your only real choice basically is to buy an inlinepro kit. And when I originally started, that option had just first came out, and the price tag was way out of my price range. I have, into the motor and transmission, basically the whole entire swap, I have probably $1,200-ish, give or take. Now, granted, I built most of the things to make this possible, so this is actually not running an adapter plate, and that brings its own set of challenges. I believe when the inlinepro kit came out, it was $1,800 or $1,900. I'm not 100% sure. So the way I went about it is actually, there is no plate. The motor and transmission bolt together, but it's not as simple as it sounds. I made a bunch of brackets that basically bolt the two together. And I've done it before with plateless H2B setups, and I never had a problem. So this is the first plateless J2F that there is. That also meant building the motor mounts. And there's pros and cons of doing that. I have great oil pan clearance. And let me try to get a little more detailed. So for you that can't tell what the oil pan is, it is right there. And oil pan clearance is amazing on this thing. But the problem is trying to get you down lower. Hood line. This intake manifold is going to be out the hood, unfortunately. But that's what I sacrificed when I originally went to build the setup. I kind of had an idea how far off the ground I wanted the motor to be. I chose oil pan clearance over hood line, and that was one of those things when I originally built the motor mount. I tried to keep the motor as high as I could off the ground. In North Jersey, about a half hour away from George Washington Bridge, and for anybody that's not familiar with the area, we have some of the worst potholes in the country probably. They're eat the car alive, and the oil pan on this thing is a pain in the ass to make, because the starter actually fits underneath the oil pan. So engine is going to be kind of poking out the hood a little bit, but you know, every swap has this things that you have to either give up or trade to get it done. Let me get a little more in here. So on the passenger side, actually it's a tight fit, but you do have some room. Trying to get the best lighting possible. So frame rail area, pretty good, and there are the motor mounts I made, but it is a tight fit. I was able to retain heat and air conditioning, a little more on that in a little bit. One of the challenges when you do the swap, even with inlinepro kit, is the oil filter housing. And on these motors, it sticks forward. So I don't know if you could tell, but this whole area has actually been notched out. Let me try to get a better angle on it. And in the video it doesn't look like it, but I have about 5mm clearance around the oil filter. Like from the video, from this angle, it looks terrible. It looks like it's actually like right on it. But I do have room. later on, if I ever, kill the clutch or hurt the motor, or if I have to pull the whole swap off for any reason, I'm definitely gonna open that up more. But that is one of the challenges you face when you're doing this. Now another one I know people are gonna be asking is wiring. What did I do with the wiring? Well, I can build mounts. I don't mind doing that. I can fabricate any little brackets I need, but I hate wiring. I hate wiring with passion, and I didn't want to have the swap in here and run into any kind of wiring issues. So what I did is I actually sent the harness out to Don from RPM Systems. Don is the man when it comes to J-Series stuff, and this whole thing has been plug and play. I have bothered him maybe a couple dozen times, rookie questions, something to do with wiring, something to do with just J-Series stuff, stuff related to the s2000, and he's been great. I've been able to send pictures to him, and he usually gets back to me pretty quickly, so that has been amazing. Let me get a little bit in here. So it does have air conditioning, but I'm going to temporarily pull it out, and the reason for that is kind of simple. Let me try to get in here. When I originally built this, I built it really simple. This is a s2000 AC compressor bolted up to the factory J32 AC compressor bracket with an adapter. There's a small metal plate that bolts to the J32 AC compressor bracket, and then the s2000 one bolts. The s2000 AC compressor bolts to that. The problem with it is it's kind of hard to get a picture on the video, but the steering column is like, I don't know, a couple millimeters away, and I believe on full tilt either direction, I think it hits. Haven't been able to verify that. Now, recently I met a guy, Chase Johnson, great guy. He's a dealer for inlinepro, and speaking with him, he actually has a J-Series powered s2000. He's been great. He's actually been able to get me, recently they made special brackets. I'm not sure if it was him who had them CNC designed, CAD drawn, CNC cut, or somebody he works with, but I'm going through him to pick that up, and they'll position the AC exactly where it needs to go. I won't need to run the factory J32 AC bracket, so that'll be perfect. Other than that, almost looks OEM. Some of this stuff here and over there, it's kind of messy, but it's still a work in progress. Here's my checklist, and I'm starting to get down to the final stuff. I have to finish building the headers. The headers are actually the factory J32 headers. I chopped off the collectors. The collectors are extremely restrictive. And by restrictive, look at the exit on these things. It is ridiculous how small they are. Let me get a tape measure so you have a better... Actually, here we go. The exit is a little over an inch and a half. Inch and 3/4, it looks like. Terrible. So I did, I cut them, a little bit further up, and I was able to add 2 1/4 inch piping. So both sides of the header exit at 2 1/4, and I have to just join them to one side and connect it to the rest of the exhaust. So that'd be pretty simple. The ECU right now is a factory J32 ECU for this motor. There's nothing special there. I'm going to keep that for now just to make the swap easier. Later on down the road is getting either an AM or something along those lines. Give me a little bit better tuning options. As far as the motor right now, it's completely stock. And again, that is to make my life easier. I didn't want to start porting the heads, running aftermarket cams, going through that whole ordeal, because I really didn't have any way to tune it. And I probably won't for a while. This actually been a budget build. So a lot of people might laugh at that notion, but I have probably, I'm going to say, under $1,200 for the entire setup you see here. Motor, trans, wiring, you name it. And that's because I basically built everything myself. If you have to buy everything, it's going to be quite a bit more. Another challenge is in factory form, and I have it around here. Let me just pull it out of no man's land. So factory form, you have this mess. And this is your EGR, your thermostats in there, additional coolant stuff, your fan switches, and it runs another fan switch. It grounds the motor, and I think temperature sensor. Anyways, the problem with this whole thing, and the reason it's not on the motor, is it would actually be right into the firewall. So you have to get creative. And by creative, can I get a better picture back there? No, I can't. So I guess I'm going to explain it. The way the motor is set up is there's a coolant tube that comes right behind here somewhere is the factory water pump, and that pushes fluid down the valley of the motor out to the back. Both heads have a port that comes out, and they all meet up in that thing. So for an s2000, you just don't have that option. So what you do is you run the tubes forward. So I built these. They run underneath the intake manifold, and there's a really, really tight fit. Again, Chase Johnson is the man to talk to if you're going to be planning on doing this swap. He gets you the adapter plate. He can get you the coolant tubes. He can basically get you everything where it's plug and play. Or if you can fabricate and you don't mind getting your hands dirty and spending hours getting things to work, you could go this route. It's definitely not easy. If you don't have the money after doing it this way, I'll kind of just recommend save up, because this has been, what should took me maybe a month to do, has been a little bit over a year and a half. And if you follow our Instagram, the Honda Game, you'll see we have some pretty involved projects, and this one has really tested my patience. I've had the motor in and out, I don't know, probably like a dozen times, and it's just not it's not that fun. This thing is one of those swaps that it's kind of hard to work on by yourself, and getting the motor in is not that easy. Usually it takes at least 2 people. And the reason being is the motor is so far past the center line, you actually have to end up running. I can't even show you right now. I actually made an extension. I'm going to just describe it. I actually made an extension from my engine lift that's about 15 inches long, just to be able to get it into position. And then what that means is you actually have to add weight to your engine lift. So everything that's on the engine lift right now is what I call ballast. I had 2 batteries, jack stands, a thing full of metal, and that's what I use basically to counterbalance the weight of the motor, because so far extended past where it normally would be on the engine lift. So a little sketchy, but it worked, and it never moved around on me. What else can I say? From the motor back, it's all s2000. There's an s2000 transmission, shifter, drive shaft. All that is basically the same. I was able to machine down a lip that's on the crank, and the s2000 flywheel, clutch, pressure plate all bolted to the motor. So there we are. That's how you do a J2F in the s2000. Still a little ways off. Not a lot. I have a lot of little things. People think once you get the motor in, you're good to go. But as I was saying earlier, the hood will need to be cut, unfortunately, because I built the motor to sit higher than I normally would. And that's kind of a side profile. You can see the intake manifold sticking out. But that's what you have to do when you... Wait, that's not exactly what you have to do. If you run an inlinepro kit, you can actually get the factory hood to close. The way I did it, not quite. But the plus side on that is it looks like I have like a mile worth of oil pan clearance. It might even have better oil pan clearance than the F. I wanted to see if I could find a picture of it. It's been quite a while. I originally hurt the factory F20 at exactly 200,000 miles. I still have the motor. I was able to fix it. But that motor is really expensive. If you do blow it up and you need to buy even a junkyard one, you're looking at like $2,500 plus. And this motor from the Japanese, one of my local Japanese importers, was $400 with tax. Transmission, I had a spare trans laying around. I think I picked that up for under $300. And, you know, wiring, I forget how much I paid down to have the wiring made, but full thing I literally have like under $1,200 as you see it right now. And she's almost ready to go. You can see the checklist is getting to the final items, and probably in the next few weeks I'll have it up and running. And I'll post up another video of it on the road. So there's going to be a little bit of time before that happens. But for anybody that's interested, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment box. For those of you who are new, subscribe, comment, like the video. Appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channel. We have a second channel coming down. It's Paz Brothers Motorsports. That's going to be more of our non-Honda stuff, because we work on everything. We have a Volvo with the LS swap coming soon. Something a little different to play with. But appreciate it. All right, we out.